مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن والاه واهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين. This is a short reflection on the meaning of revelation. What is revelation? And why revelation is necessity? And how do we know that revelation is genuine and is not just a fabrication from the Prophet or the Messenger himself? In a previous episode, we have talked about the importance of knowing God, and that a human being can find God by his own reflection and intellect. A sound mind that has been freed from desire and inclinations and lack of objectivity will be able to find its way to God, will look around itself and will realize that God exists. That is because of various proofs that are so manifest in this universe. This whole system, accurate and precise system upon which the whole universe is functioning, cannot come haphazardly, cannot happen by chance. It must have happened because of true one God who is making everything precise and perfect. Up to this point, the human mind can lead us. Human mind can take us to believe in one God. However, what does this God want from us? I mean, in other ways, what is our duty towards this God? This is where human beings will differ. And this is where human beings will have their own assumptions. In fact, they can even differ earlier than that. They can differ on the attributes of God. Definitely they will agree that this God is beyond time and space, even though all Greek philosophers could not actually find this. They were stumbling into that. But what does that God want to deliver to us? What does he want to tell us? What is this communication? This communication has to happen through means of revelation, or what we call revelation. This communication cannot come through angels to us directly, because what will happen is we will end up having all these different revelations to each and every one of us. There will be no standardization of life. There will be no standardization of laws. There will be no standardization of commands and teachings. The commands and the teachings of God are supposed to bring people together, not to drive them away from each other. They are supposed to give general instructions. Therefore, this revelation will come to us through messengers and prophets. These messengers and prophets should be individuals like us, who can speak our language, who live our life, so that we will find proximity and closeness and ability to communicate with them. They cannot be superpowers. They cannot be someone from outside this world. Otherwise, communication with them, between us and them, will be very difficult. So God selects messengers, prophets, who are entrusted with this revelation, and who are entrusted with the job of delivering this revelation, delivering the teachings of God to us human beings. But how is it delivered to them? That these individuals, these selected and elected individuals, have to be qualified to receive the divine revelation that is delivered to them through angels, through inspiration, through other ways that prove their prophethood. The fact that they are the chosen messengers of God, who are selected and elected to deliver to us the message of God. Now a question arises. Why these selected individuals? Why not revelation to each and every one of us? And let me give you a simple example. If the government wants to enact a law or to establish some rules and regulations, once they have agreed on establishing these rules and regulations, they have to communicate them to people. To communicate them to people, they cannot send individual messages to different people apart from each other, because people will not take that seriously. That's number one. There will be no source of authority there, and there will be no standardization. Everyone will think that the government has given him his own instructions. These instructions are specifically for him. Therefore, the government has to give that to an individual who is the spokesperson of that government and he speaks in the name of that government. That individual has to be qualified enough to receive this revelation, and he himself has to understand all the implications of that law. He has himself to understand all the implications of these rules and regulations, so that when he speaks about them and when he communicates them publicly to people, he might be asked about details and he has to answer. So he is the most learned about these rules and regulations, and he knows them well. And that's the role of messengers and prophets. They receive the communication from God via angels or other forms, and they are entrusted with delivering that. On top of this, they have to be smart, intelligent, able to argue and talk to people, so that when questions are directed to them regarding the content of this revelation or what is beyond, they're able to tell people. These elected and selected individuals, clean individuals, pure individuals, whose life is very truthful and good life and upright life, they themselves are these messengers who deserve to be followed and to be examples for people to follow. But what tells us that these people are genuine? Why would these people are truthful in what they are communicating from God? One, because they have no interest in any personal credit. They don't want people to praise them. They don't want people to thank them. They don't want people even to remember them. In fact, their main job is to deliver the message, and that's it. They don't want any credit from people. In fact, they suffer from people's resistance and dislike. In fact, to tell people what they want to know and to tell people what they want to do is much easier than to tell people something other than that which they want to know. In fact, when they tell people these things, they don't even ask them for a pay. They don't want them to pay them. They don't want them to give them any form of credit or shame. And second, they are telling them something which they're not ascribing to themselves. People normally, when someone writes a book or when someone wants to become famous, he takes the books of others and ascribes it to himself. Plagiarism, which we know as plagiarism. These individuals are actually giving texts and telling teachings and saying it is not ours, it's God's revelations. The third proof is their own personal lives. How would I know that a person is truthful? If I watch him and see his personal life, observe him closely, and I realize that he's been a very upright person, been a very good person, he hasn't told a lie ever in his life, that individual is a good individual, so that gives him credit. We talk in life nowadays about building credit. And these prophets and messengers have been known even before being prophets and messengers, before receiving prophethood and the message. They were known as very good individuals, very upright, very clean, very truthful. So there is no reason for them to lie. There is no reason for them to fabricate. There is no reason for them to ascribe something to themselves which has not happened. So their own persons are a proof. The fact that they are ascribing it to God, not to themselves, is a proof. And the fact that they are taking all the trouble of people who are resisting them, and yet they continue to tell them something other than what they like, and they are not asking for any credit, they are not asking for any praise, they are not asking for any recompense. All of these are in fact proofs that this is genuine, and this is true, and this is real communication of God's revelation to us.